because that means
Oh,
if our audio doesn't work, we don't have. Well, it's technically streamed to YouTube, so we can grab it off of there
okay.
or Twitch. There would be some backups, but let's just Audacity. Man, I adore Audacity. I really like it, but man, it is really just skating on that knife's edge of being so risky. It's like 1990s software where it mostly works.
Yeah.
We're never quite sure about that save file.
No, especially at the end where you're like, oh, roll the dice. I'll go file, save. Oh, no.
Then you try to reopen it, save it as a PDF, or like save it as a PDF, or save it as a different format, or just oh man,
It won't, yeah, it'll
try to
look at
recover.
you. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this?
It's like really? It's like
Yeah.
well, because you're messing up, so I have to.
Just gonna give you a little heart attack. My old dad heart can't take it. I can't do it.
I'm doing some things where I had to like I'd go into the old platform, like just copy things and then take it to a new file because the old file wasn't saving. So but the program hadn't shut down yet, so I just like bring stuff over piecemeal and like save it slowly until like I had just enough saved that like I
Yeah.
could abandon that old file.
The things we have to jump through, right, just to make
Man.
this show run.
Yeah. Thanks, Internet. Brought to you by.
Yeah.
that's what we
Audacity.
use as sponsor. The Fine Makers. It is free, man. It is stunning.
Yeah,
People
it's-
spend their free time on it, so hard to ever complain. Alrighty. We are live across the internet. Let's get this show on the road because we are live. The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old.
And each week we try to prove that just because you became a dad,
Does not mean it's game over.
and we have done that for 300 episodes.
300 episodes. Woo!
Welcome everybody to our 300th episode of this podcast. My goodness, Jeff. They said we wouldn't make it 5. Well,
We proved that we did it. We proved
by-
them wrong.
and by them, I mean our wives. But the... Ha take that.
We did it. Yeah, that's it. Show's over. This is 300. We did it.
Man, what a journey. I just can't believe right off the top, like to everybody listening, if you've ever listened to the show, if this is the first one that you've listened to, if you're going to be a listener in future, Jeff and I cannot thank you enough for tuning in each week. Like the thought that we can come on here, we can commiserate our gaming dad experiences, we can receive your stories, we can go back and forth. Every part of it has been just, I'm so humbled at the fact that we've been able to do this so long and that we've had such interactions with fans and community, everything else. Like the fact that we've been able to be around like this for so long has been just stunning, just fantastic. Everybody, legitimately from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll echo everything that you said there. And just, being with us through 300 episodes and having like this audio documentary about our own kids and everybody growing up in our, the ups and downs and, the good games, the bad games. It's awesome to interact with people and hear everybody else. And it does make you feel as alone, right? When we're all talking about the same kind of issues and get through stuff together. So again, yeah, thank you everybody for being with us and the new listeners that have kind of come on board for the next 300. We'll we'll swing back in 600 episodes when we're like the granddads.
Yeah. I like how the number, we had some significant breaks, just life events. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, during the show, like I started with my first, I had a second during the show. We had some family issues. Like we had some significant breaks. So the numbers don't quite match up. But I mean, again, like I had my first child when he was like, I think it was like 3 months when we started.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
8.
Yes.
So we've been at this for 8 years.
8 years, yeah. We should have got a cake or something. We don't have
Oh,
a
no.
cake or cupcakes.
We should be eating cupcakes. So,
That's right. We
something
plan-
more gamer.
We plan enough birthdays, Trevor. We should have like got like a indoor play place, 300 episode.
Absolutely. And along with that, everybody, so we've been running a competition, a giveaway around Baldur's Gate 3. We wanted to do a big giveaway for just to say thank you, to give something back to everybody and just kind of boost the show out there. Thank you, everybody who subscribed, everybody who put in a message and followed directions to get a tweet in around it. We have found a winner. So thank you, everybody, again, who was entered. But Jeff, do you want to reveal the good person that has won Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, through a random draw, it's Games with Coffee. Games with Coffee, thank you so much for following, listening, and congratulations. And you get yourself a Baldur Gate 3 to suck all those hours away for all your gaming needs. So thanks
Apologies
again
in
for
advance.
entering. Yeah, it's Games with Coffee is the winner.
Yeah, apologies in advance for your time.
Yeah,
I was about to
exactly.
lose it. But so just so fantastic. The have seen Games with Coffee for a while on Twitter, interaction back and forth. So really happy that he was able to win it. And again, thank you everybody for participating. I hope you guys stick around as we're gonna just continue to get better with each show. Take some feedback, keep it commiserating with your fellow dads as we all go through this fatherhood journey together, trying
That's
to
right.
sneak in as much game time as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, now with that in mind, let's get right back into the show. And what better way to escape being a dad than to blast off into space?
Go into space.
Unlike Fallout 4, which had a very dad-centric theme around it, Bethesda has delivered Starfield. It launched to the general public, of which I had it through Game Pass, so I was able to. I was there. I watched the counter tick down to 0.
Oh wow, okay. Like
It
a
wasn't-
real countdown, like
Yeah.
for a spaceship. Okay.
I wasn't sitting with like bated breath, just waiting for blast off, as you just said. But
Yeah.
it's more that I just happened to be there and it's ticking down. It was kind of cool. There was a little celebration. There's like these little sparklers
Oh.
that came up from the bottom of the screen, like, ta-da! A little
It's
muted.
the little things that count, right? Like
Yeah.
that's great.
But Star Control the Major Tom, we did it. Like we
it.
blasted off into
Engines on.
space. It's so I delivered a cappuccino to a janitor, one of my missions.
Oh no,
That's-
you're into the side quest. Trevor's gone. That's it. You were never gonna see him again.
I helped the scientists collect some tree data for things around. I forgot what a Fallout game was like, and
Okay.
there was a real shock to me as I arrived into this game, where it's like, wait, what are all these things? Because you go to a table, and it's like you can pick up a glass, you can pick up a potato, you can pick up like, just anything and everything. Like it took a while to remember. Oh, like Bethesda, like Fallout, but in space. And it kind of just came flooding back because all of a sudden, like, it's like, maybe I don't need to collect 6 wine glasses in the first mission. Maybe I should go through. So it was that Bethesda magic, we could call it.
Yeah, that sounds like again like one of the games that is just going to it's going to be your life for a bit because I think you're going to find out those little Bethesda things that just make you go off on a it doesn't even have to be a side quest. You're like, "Oh, I'm just interested in this thing," and you spend all your gaming dad time that night or that week figuring out this little thing that has nothing to do with any other quest or main quest stuff, right? So you're going to be on some planet by yourself doing dad things with your little
Yep.
space shuttle.
Little spatial. That is a really great way to discuss it because it's daunting, is the way I'd put it from like a dad perspective. So, fit and finish, polish, visuals, beautiful. This game looks fantastic. It's all of the Bethesda details you've come to know and love. Like everything has a detailed view and stats and like information and backstory. You can read logs on computers. You can talk to. I cannot believe the number of NPCs I can talk to. And then in so doing, I talk to this guy, he's like, another day on the space. And he just walks away. And then I talk to this other person, and he's a secret cult member for a serpent loving like faction of people. And it's this whole epic side quest. It's just, as you said, it's those Bethesda tiny pieces spread throughout this entire world. So I'm still in like the very first mission, and it's already just expanded out. So, let me kind of roll back up into that. So the visuals are absolutely great. One's great on my computer. Would kind of prefer to be on Xbox, but my Xbox is now just a Roblox machine, so can't put it there. Runs great, looks great, fantastic. It's got all the details, fit and finish. As best I've heard, it doesn't have a lot of the same jaggedness and bugginess as previous Bethesda titles. This seems to be one of the more streamlined, clean versions they've ever done.
I kind of miss that though. I like the bugs. I think that was part of the experience to see those bugs happen. But no, it's good from a gaming experience, I guess,
Yeah.
perspective.
So that part is all great. Again, it's just the daunting nature of walking into this, and if you are a gaming dad, you only have so many hours in that day. It's like, okay, am I going to be able to spend like 400 plus hours just unraveling and finding these things? Like, I think for me, the thing that I would always hit or be my problem, and I found this with Fallout 4 when I got into it, was you would end your gaming session, and it's like, oh, what did I accomplish? And main story wise, nothing.
Nothing.
And even like side quest wise, like two random ones that have no meaning. And it's like I leveled up one side skill, I got six other trees, I got my inventory's a mess, and I lost 2 hours of gaming time. I don't know when's the last time like you had stepped into a Bethesda, and did you have a similar experience with the dauntingness of the size and scale of this as far as the dad goes?
So usually, yeah, Bethesda games for me, like I never, okay, I am not going to, I'm not going to say bad things about Fallout, but I just never got into the world, right? It did not grab me as it grabbed you. Skyrim did grab me. So it's like one of those things where, yeah, you wander down in the world, you stumble upon something, and you have done nothing to progress the main game. But I will relate it to my like experience with like the Witcher, right? Where there's side quests on side quests on side quests. And I am kind of like the same as you, where you almost do all those things because you want all this stuff, or you want to experience this whole story, this whole world, and you almost get burned out on it, and you have to put it down. And you hopefully circle back and come back and actually do like beeline for the main quest, right? And that's what happened with me with Witcher 3. That took me, I think, 10 months, I said on the show, of just picking up, putting down, and just consistent play over time, because you get burned out on all the little things, which can be a good thing if you're like immersed. But as a gaming dad, do you think that like you can play this game, pick it up, put it down? Like, is the save point and checkpoint system make sense? And like, you're not gonna forget where you are, like, and what you do?
Yeah, so that's pretty good. So a lot of checkpoints, a lot of save points. Like anytime you get into a new area, you can save at any time, load at
Okay,
any
good.
time.
All
So
right.
that all seems to be there. Load times are fairly great. You have a list of quests, like things that you are doing, and as soon as you do it, you're right there. There's some interesting dialogue around the flight system. So specifically like space flight and space travel, because it's a space thing. Like I want to fly my ship around to planets and to galaxies and things. And for all intents and purposes, like there's not a lot of flying your ship.
Oh, okay.
You could do some dog fighting, so you can like go up into orbit. But from planet to space, there's nothing. It's a cutscene. From planet to planet, it's a cutscene, and you could just jump around it. You can even circumvent it. You can just fast travel, a la Skyrim or anything else, where it's like, oh, just take me to this base, and
Right.
just avoid the entire thing of it. Now, as far as a true space sim, some people have been disappointed in that. Like I want to take my spacecraft and rip around between stars and
You're in the
planets.
field of the stars, right? Like the name
Yeah.
sake.
But for gaming dad time, it kind of nice because it very much in
Yeah.
the like as opposed to spending my half an hour of my hour game time, I instead can just like that half hour like landing and taking off
Yeah,
and
yeah.
traveling, I could just hop around and do some of the missions. So it's much more, it's better to think of it really as a Fallout in space as opposed to a space sim at any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. Well, how does that ring with you? Because you were really excited to get into the No Man's Starfields kind of era. But like, does this fit like a good thing that you? Does it? Is it something that you didn't know you wanted? Put it that way. Because I think you're coming from Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky, where that was a lot of space flight, right? And a lot of going to planets and flying in and out and stuff. So does
Yeah.
this kind of work with that?
You can't have your cake and eat it too. And
Okay.
what you'd almost love to see is if it was the mixture of No Man's Sky and this. Because the problem with No Man's Sky, why I adored No Man's Sky. I put in so much time to it, but ultimately it was a mile wide, but an inch deep. Because there was a story, but you're kind of just charting along. But you go to a planet, it's like each one is unique, and it's like it is, but there's nothing there. It's not a story. There's no characters. There's no dialogue. It's just unique in that like this plant looks different to this plant, but it's still just a plant. Like that's not a
Right.
game in it. Whereas this one is, it's not fair to say that it's a mile deep and an inch wide. Like it's much wider than that, but still, they've just put so much time crafting this story for you to go into these different parts, and then hidden so many different other things. So if you were trying to scratch a space itch, I don't think this is it. And I don't. If anything, it's not so much. This is not scratching my, yeah, the space sim itch that I do have because I adore space games. It is scratching the RPG, Skyrim, Fallout, Bethesda itch.
Right.
But and it's just a cool. It's cool to see this context as opposed to a barren wasteland after a
Yeah.
nuclear explosion. Now it's like we're humans in a set. Like there's a war and a bunch of terrible things happen, but ultimately there is some success in the human race having like spread out to the galaxy. So that's from like is kind of cool to see. There's kids involved. There's kids across the galaxy too.
Okay.
There's one little jerk kid you kind of want to slap around like right in the first minute. You're like, if I was your father, young
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I was about to say, are they like? Remember was there kids in Skyrim? I can't remember because I've modded it so much. I'm pretty sure there were kids,
Oh yeah, it was.
and they were just annoying little gremlins that would circle around you,
They're the
saying the
worst.
same two lines over and over. So I'd be like, you know what?
And they're like, I bet my dad could beat your dad. It was garbage like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
that sounds like you're having fun with it, and that it has a gaming place in
Yeah.
dad life and dad gaming time.
Yeah, so excited to keep playing it. I'm compelled to play it. I think this is going to be a really big. People, what you're seeing online is accurate. Like it's a huge hit. It's a lot of fun. It's very much what people wanted. Ranked very positive on Steam and well deserved. So really excited to keep getting into it. Dad's in Space. I'll report back on if there's any kid missions or not to
Right.
go to it. But Gaming Dads, are any other dads in space? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences with it. Reach out to us on Twitter at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. Now, harkening back, it's been called, this Starfield has been called Skyrim in space. And funny enough, it looks like one of your own minions
Yeah.
got a bit of taste of Skyrim in a different context.
Yeah, so my 13-year-old, of course, last day of summer, school's starting the next day. Hey, Dad, I want to play PSVR. Which, for anybody listening to the show, we've gone on and on about how much it takes to set up the original PSVR,
Yep.
whereas the set boxes and the other wires and blah blah blah. So as a summer's ending, let's do it up. I dragged the thing out, dusted it off, and then of course everything has to download again, and the Move controllers aren't charged, so like nothing's working, and they're getting a little bit frustrated because sun's setting, like their summer's wasting away, and they're just getting a little bit irritated. So I'm like, well, we can play, like while we wait for the other things to download, I do have Skyrim VR loaded up. So, and if anyone has not played Skyrim VR, totally recommend it. Even if you played Skyrim a
sure.
thousand times in VR, it's like the scale is insane, right? Like it's just something that is totally different that adds to that
is.
game.
It's just that they've done such an amazing job with it. And one of the common complaints with VR games, which we've seen, is just they're fun little activities, but none of these are games. And with Skyrim, it is not a, just half little done tiny thing on the side. Like it is top
Yeah,
to bottom, completely customized and perfectly made for VR. It is stunning. I agree
Yeah.
with you on that.
Absolutely. So my kid had never touched a Bethesda game, let alone an RPG, let alone Skyrim. So they were getting into this thing. He made a character named Shrek, which is of course like one of the
Somebody once told me the
Yeah.
world.
the lizard races, and started it all up, and if okay, so you know how you check a game for like, are there any bugs? How are people going to focus in on the main quest, and how do we guide them to kind of get them to the next town, right? So watching my 13-year-old totally, like literally go off the beaten path, right? So you come out of the tutorial cave and you're supposed to go to the first town, takes a hard left into the fort, into the bushes. Like just because he heard a bird overhead and he wanted to go see the bird. So he's going over to this thing. He finds a random house that I don't think I've ever been at. I followed the quest line at least to that first town and then lost my way. But finds this village or this shed, There's bandits inside. He kills all them. He finds a note. He reads the note in VR, which was kind of cool because he's turning the paper. And then there's this whole treasure room, and now he's in an underground cave system, which is hilarious because I don't think I've ever been there.
Despite all your time.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things where I'm experiencing it for the first time with him, which is awesome. And he's saying all the things like what he wants to do. And with Skyrim, there's so many options, right? So he wants to wield magic in one hand and have a mace in the other, and he can do that. So in this game, he can totally live like through his character and what he wants to do. So he was experimenting with different options. He was a little bit more in depth than I was, where he's looking at like damage per second. I'm like, oh, I never went into any of this. So like he's already maxing out his character.
Such a better player than you.
Yeah, completely. But picked it up, was immediately into it, loved it to death, and it was something that again it was a good experience for him because he wanted to come back to it, and he has never played a complex, in-depth game like that before. So a lot of the times he'll like play Phasmophobia, and like Minecraft was a big thing, and all those are great games, but this deep RPG, I'm not saying he's playing it correctly because he hasn't really hit the story, but he's definitely role playing within this world, right? And he wants to do it over and over again. Now the problem with that is that I have to keep the VR set up and it takes up a lot of space, but at least he's interested and going back into it, right? And again, as a gaming dad where I can view him on the TV and on what he's doing, is one hilarious because the traps in Skyrim in VR are jump scares, right? Like he literally had to duck because a spiked ball would come through the door when he opened it. So we were having a blast, and I got some video of it. We made some good memories and cracks and stuff. So it was a good time. I totally recommend it to anybody that has a kid, a VR cassette, and just wants to introduce them into something a little bit more in depth, like just something that is a longer game, like you were saying. It's not like an on rails short experience. This is the full game of Skyrim in VR.
I still can't describe like the sensation of. I think I'd be interested to see two people's reviews. One who'd never played Skyrim before and just tried it as a VR experience. But there's like an extra layer to it where I don't. Had your 13 ever played Skyrim before?
No, never.
Okay, see that's kind of interesting because the thing I'm wondering about is like for me having spent so much time in it and loving it as I have, and all of a sudden I get to step into it in that like virtual reality.
Yeah.
Which is stunning. Like I couldn't believe it. It's like I'm here. I'm doing the thing. I am the Dragonborn. As opposed to like just stepping in for the first time. It's like, oh, this is just the world that exists in this thing. I could just walk to those mountains over the course of the next 2 hours.
Yeah, it was something that, again, like you were saying, I've been through this world. Well, not all of it, obviously.
Apparently.
I could feel the scale of the things that I've seen 1,000 times before, right? And it added a new experience for me. But with my son going through and having all that for the first time and getting used to the language and like what this story is and getting a sense of like, oh, okay, I have this ability in me that I don't know yet, and getting to know the world, I'm like, okay, I'm excited. Like, let's do Skyrim together. Let's play some, like, this is like 100-hour set. Well, you'll probably be 14 by the end of your gaming run with this. So it's something that's exciting to me, and it's different for him. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll report back if this kind of like cuts off completely or if he wants to come back in. So.
Dun dun. Trying to like quest unlocked.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Hey, gaming dads, have you experienced Skyrim in VR? Have you introducing the kids to VR? Like I'm really fascinated in. I'm holding off a bit because of their age, but like eventually being able to do that would be amazing. But again, much like the other thing, we'd love to hear from you gaming dads. Reach out to us at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. So from one technological marvel to the next on cloud gaming. And this is just a wild one. I'm coming up for a phone upgrade. So classically with phone plans, you come in every like couple of years, you get to upgrade your phone. Fine. One of the main criteria I'm finding playing into my decision making this round is
the camera, right? To take pictures of your kids life experiences.
I got plenty of photos of those guys. The real thing I need to worry about is which of these phones best plays Xbox game streaming.
Yeah.
How should I align my phone purchase with the mobile gaming habits? And here's a particular case that where we're kind of in this, and this sort of leads into our next story too, with these streaming type things and these experiences. So this it is supposed that the next generation iPhone, as we speak on this podcast, our 300th episode, the iPhone 14 will give way to the iPhone 15. If the rumor mill is correct, the iPhone 15 will feature the USB-C
Right.
charging port.
Yep.
You might recall that I bought a Backbone, which is a adapter for for the iPhone that attaches. It turns it into a controller, which has been just fantastic for mobile gaming, but it's specifically for game streaming. So this puts me into a place where if I want to maximize the use of that thing,
Yeah.
I would need to buy the current generation, the 14, for that device. And now currently I'm using the iPhone Mini 13.
Okay.
So it is tiny. It's not very
Right.
big
Yep.
and not particularly great for, trying to stream games. All these things come into factor. Okay, so they're changing the port. I'm on I'm on a tinier phone. Perhaps for the next version, I should make sure I get a 14 so I can still use the port, so I can use this hardware, but get something bigger so that I can still play games on it.
Right.
And if anything, it's because it's a wealth of technological advances where all phones are fine now. They're fine.
Yeah,
they work
yeah.
great.
They
They're
do
fast enough.
whatever. Do people phone on phones? I'm not sure.
No, they text, Jeff, please.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're all fine. The cameras are fantastic. I'm not in need for much of that. So now it's all the periphery of okay, what else do I want to do with my phone? What do I want to use it most for? And I'm thinking what would be great to do more often would be using it for game streaming.
Yeah.
Am I mental? Am I wild? Am I on point? Am I a genius? What strikes you?
I think if you're ever going to finish Starfield, I think you need to stream it wherever you can.
All the individual times that I need. That's fantastic, Trevor. The only way you are ever going to finish Starfield is if you're using game streaming and capturing every possible moment. I like that.
Absolutely. Like you drop the kids off to swim classes, you're there in Starfield in your spaceship. You're like, okay, I'm doing my other mission. I'm helping this old lady find her cappuccino while your kid is swimming. Like any time, again, big fan of the Steam Deck because it allows me to stream my PS5 and play games portably wherever I want. And so I can be with my kids, my family and stuff and share the space with them without taking over a TV or being at a PC or whatever. So I am on the side of wherever you can stream things, and if the device will help you do that, why not, right?
I just I completely lost my train of thought on
Now,
that ticket.
but a quick question though: the Backbone won't work with the new port. Is that what you're saying? Like it clicks in?
Yeah. So currently the way the Backbone works, it works with the Lightning. So the Backbone currently has a Lightning port. So as soon as it introduces USB-C, it's not going to work. Now, I imagine they'll have an adapter I can purchase, but that's just immediately becomes this weird kind of bulky thing, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily as good. The other thing I'll mention, I'm kind of curious, where you're at with it and other gaming dads, is on the phone I get a notification weekly. It's like, hey, your phone usage has gone up by 10% this week to this much every day. And it's like, that hurts, man. Like that every week I get to the end, it's like, if I had studied Spanish, if I had read a book, if I had, even forget being productive, if I had just played a game, I think my life would be better. But this plays into it a little bit too, because currently, while I haven't deleted social media, I've removed it from my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So my phone no longer has Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything like Reddit. I got rid of them all. So the phone now is for messaging, research, work, and that's it. And hopefully game streaming, but we'll get to that.
And game streaming, yeah.
Yeah. I still have those things, but I just have it on an iPad or I'll use it on my computer. So it's specific focus. Okay, now I am going to go on social media as opposed to just having the phone dictated and bring me in. That played into this too, because why not? Since I'm not, as opposed to spending an hour on social media, just consuming and reading. If you came off and asked me off the street, "Hey, gaming dad, how much time do you have to play?" I'd say like I don't have any time to play. I can hardly play any games at all. But then I get this alert, Jeff, every day. It's like, "Hey, you spent this much time on your phone this week." I'm like, if I took one of those hours and just played a game, I think I would be happier. So
Yeah.
part of part of the whole phone conversation was, okay, if I got rid of social media on the phone, again, not like a high brow, oh, I'm off at social media
No,
altogether, but just
yeah, replacing
off the
it.
phone, and instead, if I played I replaced that time with gaming time, how much better would my life be?
I mean, there's only one way to find out, and that is to get the device that supports the streaming. I will always say the streaming is it's what Microsoft's investing in, right? And I think PlayStation is trying to get there with the Portal and their new device. So I think streaming will take off, whatever the Switch is developing. This is the way it's going to go because people find that convenience, like you said, right? If you're going to be more purposeful with your screen time and do the things that you want to do instead of doom scrolling or whatever, then this will help with that. And I'm all for it, right? Like, I think it's just something that allows you to do the things you want to do when you want to do them instead of sitting down at a huge thing. I used to be all about that surround sound, all that stuff. I don't have any of that anymore. It's in boxes, like none of it. So I don't even sit on the couch and plant myself. Like it's I'm in a chair or wherever outside or whatever I'm doing. But
Well, now, a thing that might throw a wrench in those plans is if they continue to raise prices every time, because counter to this particular story on streaming was the new story that PlayStation Plus was jacking their prices. And I'll use the word jacking very specifically, given their current approach to it.
yeah, so if anybody has been living under a rock, which I'm sure that everybody's tuned into this, especially if you have PS Plus. So if you are subscribed, rates have gone up officially. But Trevor, okay, so for me to play online with PlayStation, right, used to be back in the day it was nothing, but it is $70 per year to play online, have cloud saves, and this is just basic plan, right? You get the monthly free games, whatever, $70 a year, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's less than, it's like $8 a month or whatever. So like, that's fine. Now it is, it has gone up to 98 for just the base package.
So not even streaming, not the game catalog,
No, just
just
the base package.
just to play games.
Yeah,
with
I
other
think
people.
actually it's $89.99 or something like that, then plus tax. So it's gone up almost $30 from the base essential. I need to play online. I get my monthly games. I get cloud saves, and then from there, there's the extra tiers, which I think the top tier is you get your PS1, PS2 games, the cloud streaming, which is almost $200.
Yeah, so here's the PlayStation Plus Essential 12-month subscription, $94.99.
Yeah.
Up from $69.99, 70. So 95 from 70.
Yep.
PlayStation Plus Extra 12-month subscription, $160, up from $115. And then PlayStation Plus Premium, so like the top tier, $190, up from $140.
Yeah. So as a gaming dad, there's no added bonus to this. This is just an increase that they put it. They thought, what is that, 30% was cool, right? So as a
You know what's
gaming
cool?
Yeah.
Charging people more, man.
dollars, right? So like again, if the service costs you this much to run and you're adding this extra value into it, maybe I would look at that, like, what's the value proposition there? I get it, I understand it, but this was just, no, we're just raising prices, you get the same stuff, but now it's just $30 more per year, and you should like that.
Yeah,
So
you're welcome.
exactly. So as a gaming dad with a bunch of other subscriptions going on, I have a Steam Deck and I've kind of turned towards Steam now. I don't do a lot of online gaming with my PlayStation. I will miss the cloud saves because that does come in handy when you have a PS4 and a PS5 and can work in between them. I have canceled my subscription, so it will lapse and it will be out because I don't think, as a gaming dad, I can't support that, especially for people that can't afford what it was before. Like if you have all the money in the world, you're like, whatever, just pay, just don't buy it then. Well, you're making this online gaming not accessible to a lot of young gamers that are growing up, that their families aren't going to be able to do this amongst all the other costs in the family. So it's just one thing I couldn't take on, I couldn't have. And I know that they're turning to streaming, but that's the highest tier, and I'm not spending $200 to stream to my device.
Yeah, I get. It's surprise. I'll say like, along with that, like because we become such a Roblox house. One of the greatest things. There was two wonderful things about Game Pass for myself. Three, sorry, the streaming, which again, because what via our last conversation, hopefully I can still take part in. But the second was the amount of games I could just play on my Xbox, and then by extraction, like the fact that what my kids could play also on the Xbox. Like it was fantastic, right? It was a great proposition. But now, like I bought Diablo at full price, and I just own that game. I could buy feasibly Starfield, and then those would just be my games, and then my kids would just play Roblox because that's the only thing they want to play anyways, and I would have zero access to the entire rest of it.
Yeah.
I'm not shutting. The comparison I'm making is if Xbox came in with as egregious of increase in prices. Again, it's not like they're not bleeding us dry. It's not like all of a sudden it's like 4,000 a year or something completely ludicrous or silly, but it just inch by inch by inch by inch, along with everything else, it just keeps getting more expensive, and then it enters into the conversation of, do we really need this? And PlayStation kind of dangerously put themselves against that ledge of like, do we really need this? And what I get worried about too is like what, as we've seen, I think you'd agree, is once one of them do it, everybody else follows suit, right?
Absolutely, because then why wouldn't you, right? The PlayStation would be successful with this price scheme. Next up, maybe Game Pass. Next up, maybe Nintendo, right? Like, because they're all going to follow the profits. That's, let's be honest, that's what they're here for. And yeah, it's just something I didn't feel good about resubscribing. So that's my personal choice, but it's like one of those things where, we get into the whole like streaming. Do you own the games? Do you not? And then if you lock into a subscription thing, it's only going to get more expensive as costs climb. So we'll keep an eye on this one. I hope there's enough, pushback that PlayStation reconsiders, and then the rest of them kind of go a little bit quiet and don't raise their prices 30% and say that's cool with everybody. I don't know.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. I think that's where hopefully gaming dads can band together. Kids will be asking for this, so we can like as a voting block, gaming dads can come together and try to push against such egregious like price raises that reduces our ability to game.
I agree. Again, I'll be on my Steam Deck. That's where I'll be. Maybe I'll get Starfield there if they figure out how to run it, and I'll join you in space.
Just give it a year to when they get the 60% discount. Then you'll be back.
That's right.
Just we'll go back to the old days of how I used to game, where it's always on a 1 or 2 year lag. Like I always hit it when I could get the game for like $20.
Yeah. Oh God, we're gonna go into those back in my day.
I waited till it was in the bargain bin before I looked at it.
That's right.
GTA 5, more like Vice City, thank you very much.
Oh, we're so old. 300, yay.
It's like, yeah, it feels like Vice City and GTA 5. I'm trying to, man. GTA 5 must have launched.
It launched.
When, like, not before, though.
Nope.
But, like, while we were in the midst of it, right?
Yeah, I remember talking about it. I had it on launch, and I had the remaster for PS4, and then we're on PS5 with another kind of update.
Like, was it on PS3?
It was on PS3. Oh, it's been like a decade.
Oh, that's almost worse than Skyrim. Almost. That's almost worse than Skyrim.
It's pretty close. It's getting there because they haven't done anything with it. So yeah, I don't know. It's comparable at least. So.
My lord. Okay. Everybody, how the gaming landscape has changed, but one thing has not, and that is our appreciation for you as we come every week to give you the show of New Dad Gaming. Everybody, 300 episodes. So many dads, so many stories, so many growths and moments, and kids growing, so many precious little moments with our little ones, and so many precious little ones with your little ones that you've shared with us. And again, like, humility is the only way I can describe it. Such gratitude for where we are. Thank you so much for coming with this journey. I mean, I can only hope to get on to the next 300, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be no kids during that, though. Like, we're done with the kids portion of this show, so you can listen to them and watch them kind of grow up, but there will be no more newborns.
Yeah, we are, if you would like the newborn experience,
Unless
roll
we put it to
back.
a poll. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be adoption in my house. Sorry, but
Same here. So you'd be like,
but as I said, we're all growing up together. We're all watching the families grow up and figuring out this gaming thing together. It has been an absolute pleasure and a joy. Jeff, thank you for being with me on these episodes too.
yeah, it's been good to, again, get to know you all these years and commiserate, like you said, like just sharing our goods, bads, and uglies. So.
You know, another thing that sucks every week. Oh, all right, everybody. That will do it for this week. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you like the episode, go ahead and on to any of the major podcasting networks. You can find us on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, Caster, anywhere we get your podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. Did you have any comments on the show? Do you yourself have thoughts on 13-year-olds in VR, Skyrim VR? Did you get to experience it? Are you in Starfield? Are you joining me in space with other space dads? Reach out to us. Like, as we said through all of these episodes, one of the greatest things has been interacting with dads. So reach out to us at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. Everyone, once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening for 300 episodes. Cheers to the next 300. And until next time, my name is Trevor, and I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old.
And just remember, just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.
All right. See you in the next 300, buddy.
See you next 300.